Lakshmi Sima Bhagavan ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Vaishnavaishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Namaste Bhakti Bhakti Naishtiki.
Before
First I say Srimad Bhagavatam, which the very nature of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, unto Mother Saraswati, the mother of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva the author. Here to attend the classes of the Bhagavatam, and by rendering their service to pure devotee, all those troubles from the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, which prays with transcendental tongue, is established in the pure global path.
welcome everybody. We're going to be covering section from Canto 2, Chapter 1. That is entitled, Chapter 1, that is entitled The First Step in God Realization. So, baby steps, but eventually we'll get there. As we heard yesterday, a wonderful discussion. Moving in the right direction is as good as arrival. But we have to keep moving, right? We can stop, pause if there's an avalanche and winter coming, like you want to climb the Himalayas, right? If you want to climb the Himalayas, you don't want to climb in winter, so you got caught there in the fall, you better pause, wait for the spring, then you continue. Or if there's like a really steep part, you can try to go like, what is there's a chant, I think it's American in free climbing, like he climbs on one of those like inverse, what is his name? I think his name. Yeah, that was documentary, yeah. Unless you're him. But otherwise, people go around. People go around. Sometimes we'll go around. It's never like a straight line, right? So we have to consider these things as we're trying to reach that goal, reach that mountain. The other day, we were in Jacksonville for Rath Yatra. And I was looking at the ocean. It's so wonderful to think of, same water. Mahaprabhu is actually taking a dive, taking a dip. Although it was nearly 600 years ago, it's still the same water. And I was thinking how distribution already happened 600 years ago. All the liquid prema went all around the world because it's all one body of water. That kind of distribution already happened. But yet Srila Prabhupada wrote books. Why they had to write books? Everybody was touched by the same water that Mahaprabhu took bath in. Pure Amrita. Charan Amrita. Why? Yes.
To wrestle our minds into the being to receive.
Okay.
You go to the ocean, you can be in your daughter, that's the dawn.
That's right. Many people come to Vrindavan, people come to the Puri. I've seen just outside of Puri, I've seen Belgian flags, I've seen German flags, I've seen flags from all around the world. Why? Because Puri has some of the best waves for surfing. But no local, it was so interesting to see no locals. Locals at best they come like knee deep. They go in and out fast because they have a great deal of respect for the ocean. But you see many of those European all around the world flags camping in this like small like forest like setting right next to the beach to surf those waves. They don't come for the darshan of Jagannath. Maybe if they're fortunate, maybe they get some Jagannath prasad. If they're fortunate. And if they're fortunate, they'll meet some devotees. They'll give them a book. Yeah, the whole point is that you can be so close, yet so far, unless our eyes open. So that's why the books. That's why the books are important. Om Jnana Tirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militamena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in darkness of ignorance. My eyes were shut until I met my spiritual masters. Opened my dark eyes, filled with darkness. How he did that? With torchlight of knowledge. So, Prabhupada has painstakingly taken time to not just translate, but also to write these purports, as we'll see today. And giving so much understanding of what we were given. So many people on a beach that Saturday, many, totally, it was their regular Saturday beach day. And there comes the big Jagannath. This is crushing everybody under his wheels. People are like, grabbing their towels, like, whoa, get out of the way. Yeah, crushing their everything. Umbrellas and towels. And Juggernaut, there's a word, Juggernaut. It's an English word. I think English. Yeah, I think English made it. English made the word Juggernaut. It means unstoppable. Jagannath and Baladev and Subhadra, unstoppable. And you saw them on the beach. No matter how much, who was it? Sanjay was in the back and a couple others pulling on brakes. There was no way of braking. It was just coming. And there was a part that he wanted also to take a little dip in the ocean. I think the right wheel kind of took a dip. It was so wonderful. And people were just wondering in total oblivion. Like, what in the world? Jagannath, here comes the unstoppable one. And Prabhupada also, as Jagannath Bhakta, remember there was his first pastime in the early childhood of Prabhupada. He was pulling the cart for Jagannath. His father, Guru Mohan Dev, specifically made it him to instill or to agitate and to enhance that devotion of Prabhupada from early on. And he was always praying to Radharani that Prabhupada might be blessed. Radharani's bhakta. he always wanted Prabhupada to learn how to play in Dhamma. And he always prayed for all those sadhus who would come and that he would serve, so they also can bless him. We are made of blessings, many, many blessings that we hope to get along the way. So Prabhupada writes books for that reason, that he can open our eyes. We might understand the gift of Mahaprabhu. We might understand the deeper meaning of those ocean swims. Even ocean surfs, as we surf the waves, we can be immersed in ecstatic, if not emotion, ecstatic thoughts of gratitude for the gifts, special gifts we were given. And last night actually it was interesting. It was already, altar was shut, Brandon came, shut down the temple. I was just finishing some extra rounds. And my phone rang, and usually I don't answer, but it was Patricia or something, California number. It's really peculiar. And somehow, I don't know why, but it was late. I was thinking California, the time is, what, 3 hours? 3 hours, yeah. I was like, okay, it's not a bad time for them, so let me inconvenience myself. And I answered the phone, and it was this lady from hospital, random lady. She's like, I'm barely talking. She was like, hello. Are you Hare Krishna? I said, who is this? She says, are you Hare Krishna? And I said, yes, I'm trying to be. And she said, I'm in a hospital, and I got this book, Science of Self-Realization. I have questions. So how did she, like, I know there's many numbers in the book. It's like at least like dozens and dozens, over 100, probably hundreds of numbers, centers around the world. But on the back, she found there was a stamp. And I used to stamp the book. I used to stamp the books because it takes a personal touch, right? When you meet somebody on the street, it takes the personal touch. So in order to kind of avoid like, oh, give me a number or like whatever, just leave it up to them. So if they have, I would just say on the back, doesn't have personal info. So it kind of expedites the whole exchange. And I only did that in when I was in Texas. Well, I did some in the East Coast too, but that's even further away. Praise God. So how did the book from Texas ended up like in random California hospital? Go figure. So I was just amazed how the books are alive, very much so alive, and they have a certain target. They're like, the face recognition. Like each book has a kind of face recognition piece of technology that could hone in to whoever needs to get it. Anyway, it was a very brief, rather, very cordial exchange. And I just encourage you, please repeat after me, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Because I don't know what worse her situation was, what condition she was, but like just encourage her to keep chanting Hare Krishna. The book is there, keep chanting Hare Krishna. And it was hard to hear, so the lady in the hospital, I guess nurse, she had to go on the phone and just confirm things. But yeah, it was, I was blown away. I was like, wow, you never know. You never know. This is like years later. Hare Krishna. So books are important, so we can understand. And the whole point is we want to awaken to the experience. And we don't want to be dull to the wonderful experience where we understand that it's ecstatic, that it's susukam kartu avyayam, that it's joyfully performed. But we don't want to be dull to that experience. We want to really dive into it. So that's why the books are there. And we shouldn't wait to be in a hospital bed or in a dying bed to actually come to the point of understanding and appreciation. Now is the time. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that we have a human form, or sometimes to explain that now that we have time, Parikshit, as we are in the story here, he is guaranteed 7 days. Wonderful thing. But we're not guaranteed 7 hours, not even 7 minutes. So that's why Vedanta Sutra is urging now. Now is the time. Don't delay important things. Should not wait, even if performed poorly, because a good thing it's something worth doing even poorly. That was one of the takeaways from yesterday. And in regards to time and delays, there's a nice, I guess it's a joke, but we can take it seriously also. From Vrindavan, when there was a gentleman in Vrindavan, and I promise after that joke we'll go to Bhagavatam. I promise. There was a gentleman in Vrindavan that wanted to see a doctor, or dentist. I think it was a doctor. And he said, regular checkup, probably blood work as well. And the doctor said, okay, in 7 days, please, you return and we'll see the results. So 7 days passed. He came back, and the doctor said, oh, please, come in. He said, I have one is bad news and one is good news. Which one you want to hear first? He said, well, give me the good news first. Doctor said, good news is you only have 2 days to live. That's a good news? My goodness, what is the bad news? He said, doctor said, I was looking for you yesterday. I couldn't find you all day. Yeah, be very, very careful not to, especially waste our youth. Okay, let's take turns, starting with text 15. And then we'll cover 19 with purple.
At the last stage of one's life, one should be bold enough not to be afraid of death. But one must cut off all attachments to the material body and everything pertaining to it and all desires thereof.
One should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, he should bathe regularly and sit down in a lonely place, duly sanctified.
After submitting the above manner, make the mind remember the 3 transcendental letters A, U, M. And by regulating the breathing process, control the mind so as not to forget the transcendental seed.
Where's Brandon? We have a breath work here. We have a breath work to do. And yes, please listen carefully. These are all wonderful processes to become fearless, abhaya, not afraid of death, that most people are very much so freaked out about dying. You can't even mention it. Like with my father, I don't know if I remember me sharing, just could not, although like he's terminally ill, could not initiate discussion of death and dying. It was just so, he would become so upset. Like, why are you talking about it? And like throw a fit. Like I never saw him that enraged. But Dad, I just like, okay, I didn't know it's such a touchy thing. I will not. But then last time I was there, he himself, he actually did, I could see he was reflecting on mortality. And he said, it was just regular morning walk that we had. I said, I have understand that I won't live forever. Oh, wow, that's refreshing. Tell me more. So that was a very nice conversation that now we can actually talk about it. And about problems.
Gradually, as the mind becomes progressively spiritualized, withdraws from sense activities, and the intelligence, the sense will be controlled. The mind too absorbed in material activities can be engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead and become fixed in full transcendental consciousness.
Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of the complete body. Thus the mind becomes free from all sense objects. There should be no other thing to be thought upon, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only.
Somebody who's awake. Those who are resting, you can keep resting. We don't want to disturb.
One's mind is always agitated by the passionate mode of material nature and bewildered by the ignorant mode of nature. But one can rectify such conceptions by relation of Vishnu and thus become pacified by cleansing the dirty things created by them.
Final.
O king, by this system of remembrance and by being fixed in the habit of seeing the all-good personal conception of the Lord, one can very soon attain devotional service to the Lord under his direct shelter.
Yes, very soon. See that? Very soon. How soon? Very soon. That's the promise. And there's a verse in the Gita, there in the 12th chapter, that it's entitled, what? 12th chapter of the Gita is entitled how? Besides Gopal, he's been whispering. 12th chapter? Devotional service. You heard from Gopal. Okay, good ears, good ears. Somehow, somehow to remember Krishna. So there you will find a very nice attribute of Krishna. It's called Samadharta. It's called swift deliverer. It swiftly delivers one from the ocean of material nations, or sometimes we call it ocean of birth and death. Sometimes there's many names, but nevertheless it's a dangerous ocean, and there's no way you can swim it across, no matter how good of a swimmer you are. There's no way. Some people try to cross the ocean by holding the tail of a dog. Did that work? No. Some people try. What is required in order to, become sheltered in the ocean? Yeah. How would that work? Is he a good swimmer? You're gonna just pile on his back, saying, "Go, Gurudev." Go, Gurudev. Yeehaw. Yes, Prabhu. A boat, yes. What does that boat represent?
The boat represents the human body.
And sometimes we also hear that the boat it's the boat of transcendental knowledge. That's what spiritual master gives, the boat of transcendental knowledge. And yeah, I like that analogy of human body. And furthermore, there's favorable winds, right, on that boat. What do they represent?
The spiritual texts.
Yeah, the Vedas are the very favorable winds that will move the boat forward. I grew up windsurfing. We were just talking about that analogy yesterday. And unless you have a wind, you can't windsurf. You can't just decide, I'm going to just lower my wind and get that compulsion forward. that velocity is required from behind by the higher power. So this is the yoga process, the linking process. We want to link ourselves. And then Samudarta, swift deliverer, will be picked up. And of course, representative of Samudarta is Gurudev, who comes and engages us in service. Row, row, row. Keep rowing. When there's no wind, you gotta row. It's the raw power. All right. Anyway, we'll go back to that, but let's cover 19. Tatraikavayam jayet. Tatraikavayam jayet. Tatraikavayam jayet. Avyuchinena chetasa. Avyuchinena chetasa. Avyuchinena chetasa. Mano nirvishayam yukva. Mano nirvishayam yukva. Mano nirvishayam yukva. Tata kinchana nasmare. Tata kinchana nasmare. Tata kinchana nasmare. Padam tat paramam Vishnu. Padam tat paramam Vishnu. Padam tat paramam Vishnu. Mano yatra prasidati. Mano yatra prasidati. Mano yatra prasidati. Tatraikavayavam jayet. Anuchinena chetasa. Mano nirvishayam yukva. Tata kinchana nasmare. Padam tat paramam Vishnu. Manayatra prasidati. Follow?
Tatraikavayam jayet. Ayuchinena chetasa. Mano nirvishayam yukva. Tata kinchana nasmare. Padam tat paramam Vishnu. Mano yatra prasidati.
Tatraikavayam jayet. Ayuchinena chetasa. Mano nirvasayam yukva. Tata kinchana nasmare. Param tat paramam Vishnu. Mano yatra prasidati.
Tatraikavayam jayet. Ayuchinena chetasa. Mano nirvishayam yukva. Tata kinchana nasmare. Param tat paramam Vishnu. Mano yatra prasidati. Tatraikavayam jayet. Ayuchinena chetasa.
Word by word.
Make it out one by one. Lift up the body.
Should be concentrated upon. Without being treated. Shake us out by the mind. Mind.
Thereafter, you should meditate upon the limbs of Vishnu, one after another, without being deviated from the conception of the complete body. Thus the mind becomes free from all sense objects. There should be no other thing to be thought upon, because the Supreme Personality of God, Vishnu, is the ultimate truth. The mind becomes completely reconciled in Him only. Bruce, you want to tackle the purport?
Foolish persons, bewildered by the external energy of Vishnu, do not know that the ultimate goal of the progressive search after happiness is to get in touch directly toward Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. Vishnu Tattva is an unlimited expansion of different transcendental forms of the personality of Godhead. And the supreme or original form of Vishnu Tattva is Govinda, or Lord Krishna, the supreme cause of all causes. Therefore, thinking of Vishnu or meditating upon the transcendental form of Vishnu, specifically upon Lord Krishna, is the last word on the subject of meditation. This meditation may be begun from the lotus feet of the Lord. One should not, however, forget or be misled from the complete form of the Lord. Thus, one should practice thinking of the different parts of his transcendental body, one after another. Here, in this verse, it is definitely assured that the Supreme Lord is not impersonal. He is a person, but his body is different from those of conditioned persons like us. Otherwise, meditation beginning from the Pranava, Omkara, up to the limbs of the personal body of Vishnu would not have been recommended by Shukadeva Goswami for the attainment of complete spiritual perfection. The Vishnu forms of worship in great temples of India are not, therefore, arrangements of idol worship, as they are wrongly interpreted to be by a class of men with a poor fund of knowledge. Rather, they are different spiritual centers of meditation on the transcendental limb of the body of Vishnu. The worshipable deity in the temple of Vishnu is identical with Lord Vishnu by the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Therefore, a neophyte concentration or meditation upon the limbs of Vishnu in the temple as contemplated in the revealed scriptures is an easy opportunity for meditations for persons who are unable to sit down tightly at one place and then concentrate upon Pranava, or the limbs of the body of Vishnu, as recommended herein by Shukadeva Goswami, the great authority. The common man can benefit more by meditating on the form of Vishnu in the temple than on the Omkara, the spiritual combination of A-U-M, as explained before. There is no difference between Omkara and the forms of Vishnu, but persons unacquainted with the science of absolute truth try to create dissension by differentiating between the forms of Vishnu and the Omkara and that of the Omkara. Here it is indicated that the Vishnu form is the ultimate goal of meditation, and as such, it is better to concentrate upon the forms of Vishnu than on impersonal Omkara. The latter process is also more difficult than the former.
Jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or comments? We just read, yes, I knew it.
I feel like there's always this tension between like things that non-different, but they are kind of different. I wonder if you could explain that a little bit, because it says in one sentence that there's no difference between Omkara and the forms of Vishnu, and then in the next sentence, a couple later, like, well, it's better to go for the forms of Vishnu than Omkara, but if they're non-different, why is it better for people to go for one than the other?
Yeah, fair question, right? Which one is it? Make up your mind. Yeah, I heard a very nice explanation of, well, first of all, how did you like this section? It's nice, right? It's beginning to, it's starting to churn the process as the first step in God realization. So are you bold enough to leave home and become fearless in the face of death? Feel to leave the comfort of your homes and sit usually next to the holy rivers. And are you bold enough to do that? It says towards the end of one's life. But should we wait for the end of our life? Or we should be bold while we have strength and while we can, if we're young, to find the truth. Yes.
Also, we don't know when the end of our life.
Yeah. Who is old, Prabhupada said, who is old? But it requires boldness. It requires boldness to declare the war against delusion, to actually face the truth. And truth, as Chris was saying, and this is my segue to your question, is manifested in three forms. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan, iti Shamveti. So like, three blind men were blindfolded, touching the elephant, right? One is touching or holding the tail, the other one is holding the leg, the third one is holding the trunk. But none of them understand the full extent of elephant. So transcendentalists, they differ in those three kind of ways. Some are jnanis, some are yogis, some are bhaktas. But each realization, each higher realization includes the previous one. So Brahman realization, realized by jnanis, is there in realization of Paramatma, realized by yogis. And certainly both of those things are there in Bhagavan realization realized by bhaktas. So in that sense, there's no difference. But one, I wouldn't say higher, is more complete than the other. In the absolute truth, the aspect of absolute truth is still absolute. Another even better example, Chris, that I like personally, is when they were putting the railroads in India for the first time. And there were three kinds of people. And their curiosity also was at three levels. Some are more curious, some are even more curious, and there are those who are like really curious. Some are just curious. So those who are just curious, they were waiting, first time, they never seen the train, they heard the stories about it. As the train was coming, it was late. So it got, at dusk, it got a little dark, but they were still waiting. They were curious. So finally, they heard a sound. What is the sound of a train? There it comes. There it comes. And there was some smoke, I guess the steam engine, and the sound. And then they saw light. And then this first group of just curious ones, they said, okay, now we understand what the train is. We can go home. They left. The other two groups, they stayed. Those who were more curious, they stayed, they saw light. Then all of a sudden, as the train was turning, they saw, oh, there's not just one light, there's actually many lights. There's so many lights as the train was turning and moving. Said, oh, okay, now we understand what the train is. That group also went home. Finally, the third group were really, really curious. And they stayed until the train pulled in the train station. They were like, whoa, look at this machine. And look at these wheels. And there's a, how is it, conductor? Not the captain. Yeah, there's a conductor, there's a driver. Wow. And there's this cabins and cars, the wagons. And there's people inside. Whoa, and we can climb and we can enter ourselves. We can go inside. So wow, and they had a whole like full train experience. So the next morning they all met in their regular coffee shop, drinking their teas and whatever they drink in India. Chai. Have you been to those train situations in India? Or everywhere, chai, it's just chai. Everywhere chai. No, thank you, chai, and it's nonstop. No, thank you, doesn't matter, just keeps going. And they were discussing, oh yes, this train was wonderful. It is this light. One group was saying, those curious ones. And the other group was like, no, it's many lights. It's many lights. And the third group was saying, guys, you don't know a thing. It's light and many lights and so much more. You should have seen, you left home. You should have seen how complex this light is, how full of life, how very intricately engineered it is. And we met the person who was driving it. They were like, person driving it. And so they couldn't understand. They could probably have an idea, but they didn't have experience. So different levels of curiosity will bring about if different, I guess, realizations as one becomes satisfied in their curiosity. Many will actually worship the deities. We're speaking about worshiping the deities today also in the purport. Many will worship the deities, but then they will stop worshiping the deities once they achieve their goal. Many will chant Hare Krishna, but then will also stop chanting Hare Krishna once they achieve their goal. Bhaktas or devotees, they never stop because they have no other goal other than pleasing Krishna. Yes. So in that sense, they're same, but they're also different because personal aspect is more direct. Pull up 12.5. Klesho dikadara station avyakta They Avyakta hi gati dukham. Dukkha means it's very troublesome. Go to translation. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested. So this is what purport speaks about today. Unmanifested, impersonal feature of the supreme advancement is very troublesome. Dukkham. It's full of trouble. And to make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who embody. So rather we approach Krishna directly. This is hard because personalism in this world is also troublesome. So from little trouble, we go into more trouble. Instead of from little trouble, fixing and healing and going into directly experiencing Krishna through either his deity form or, mostly this purport speaks about the deity form. Like Jagannath is such a wonderful form because it can accommodate all kinds of devotees. And Prabhupada speaks in a purport. here. Also, you can look because breakfast is already ready, but this is a wonderful purport as your cross-reference, stressing the importance of, regardless of who we are, we can always approach the forms of the Lord, provided we accept that the deity form is Archa Vigraha, a direct representation. It's most natural. We eat, we cook, we bathe ourselves. Why wouldn't Krishna do those things? We all come from Krishna, right? We are made on image of God, right? So if we eat, why wouldn't God eat? It's just a common logic, right? If we bathe, why wouldn't Krishna bathe? If we like to dress nicely, why wouldn't Krishna dress nicely? So deities are there for their reason, so we can engage our natural propensities, but make it Krishna-centered. And Krishna is not a miser, so he leaves us all kinds of remnants and prasad by which we can purify our existence. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked, a final statement. He was asked, well, actually, no, Prabhupada's disciple, he was giving class. And it says, and it was describing the deity, how Krishna is inside the deity. And then Prabhupada raised his hand and he asked the question. He says, where exactly Krishna is in the deity? And then the boy goes, like, we'll thrown off. What would you say? Where exactly Krishna is in the deity? I think the word said, like, anyway, I won't say what he said. I want to hear what you said. Yes. Was that a hand or just?
Yeah, I would say he's the entirety. It's not just in the heart, he's in the eyes, it's a transcendental form, it's the whole being.
Yes, but this devotee was like a little thrown off. So he said, somewhere in the region. Then Prabhupada said, the deity is Krishna. The deity is Krishna. It's not that, that is Krishna.
What about the Sheila part?
Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah, he has a heart that doesn't minimize his transcendental body. Jagannath's body is completely transcendental. Okay, I don't know if that suffices, Chris. It's kind of so long. I was speaking what I want to speak, not really what you need to hear. So anyway, I utilize your question to say a few extras. But yeah, transcendentalists, they'll always differ. They'll always differ. However, the genuine transcendentalists, they will always appreciate each other's perspectives, and they will always be full of respect. Prabhupada had no issues with jnanis or yogis, but he was very, I guess we can say, disturbed with Mayavadis. Right? There's a difference. Mayavadi Krishna Paradi. That's a different topic, but yet there's a aspect that it's not healthy or not beneficial. But yeah, in personal, as a matter of fact, Shukadev was one of them. But then he heard Srimad Bhagavatam. No harm there in experiencing the Lord in His unmanifested and an impersonal feature. But it's troublesome. So you'll become more ecstatic by accepting the direct approach. All right. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Sitana Premanandi.
Vaishnave